Pastor Stephen Mannion. I am a Methodist pastor from Lancaster, New York. For those of you who don't know, that's a suburb of Buffalo, a western suburb. I'm born and raised in Pittsburgh. I am the leader of the Black Robed Regiment of New York, which Mel is a member of. And Mel is one of the most active members. That's applaud Mel especially. Mel is one of the most dedicated members, so I'm very grateful for him. The Black Robed Regiment, for those who don't know, is not some secret dark society. It's a term that was used by the British to refer to the pastors during the American Revolution who preached tyranny and called their men to go and fight against tyranny in the front lines. These pastors were boldly speaking against it, and many of them one of them became a general. They became soldiers, chaplains, and so that's why they were called the Black Robed Regiment, because at that time they all wore their black preaching robes. So we're part of a national group called America's Black Robed Regiment, and if you go to our website, which I will have at the end, it's BRR, meaning Black Robed Regiment, of WNY.com. We have links to this partner and Liberty Pastors, which is our other partner. So you can find out more about us. So Mel invited me to talk specifically about a very troubling topic. I was listening to Glenn Beck several years ago, and he had a woman on there from a group called Moms for Liberty. Any of you heard of them? Moms for Liberty? And this was when they were first starting to form, and this woman was talking about some of the books that they were finding in schools. And at that time, if it was as widespread as it is now, we just didn't know about it. So this group started to notice these books and to start to shine some light on it. Down the road, I looked at Moms for Liberty's website and saw that in a couple of the schools, the two I was told about was Clarence and Orchard Park had a book called Gender Queer, and I will show you images from that. But I was very disturbed by it, so I immediately sent an email to everybody I knew from Clarence and Orchard Park, including some people in my church, thinking that if they see this man, they're going to be fired up and at that school raising hell. And I mean that deservingly, raising hell. And I was very disturbed to ask a school board member, did anybody show up about the books? And she said, what books? So nobody showed up from, I'm not from Clarence, so, and they don't allow anybody to speak there who's not from that school district. And so I was like, how can nobody do anything about this? And so a little bit later, there's a woman named Jackie Best, who is the leader of Moms for Liberty in Erie County. She's a great person. If any of you would like to get in contact with her, there's no Moms for Liberty chapter in your county, and you need one. So if you know anybody or any of you, you don't have to be a mom. Men are part of Moms for Liberty also, by the way. The women just head it up. So, and Jackie, we met for breakfast, and she showed me the list of these books, images, including some that are in Lancaster, in my school district, and I was just in shock. So, before I get to that, it says in Matthew 10:16. I'm the kind of person who needs notes. If I don't, I'll go off on tangent. So believe me, you want me to be looking at my notes. Because Mel told me to keep it under 2 hours. So let's go. Let's get. Jesus said, "Behold, I am sending you out as sheep in the midst of wolves. So be wise as serpents and innocent as doves." These wolves are after our children. And they are the most innocent and impressionable among us. So I want to show you what our children are being exposed to in Erie County, and I guarantee you these books are here. You just need somebody to dig. Okay, so I'm going to show you some of these images, and I'm not going to show you all of them because some of them I'm going to read from in the response that we sent to the district. So this is one called "This Book is Gay." I'm not going to read excerpts from this because I'm going to read an excerpt in a minute from it. But this is one of the books that's very prevalent. It's you can see it's a how-to manual for LGBT youth, including instructions on how to perform sex acts,
how to use sex apps, and more, including illustrations of male and female bodies with arrows pointing out parts that get aroused or feel sexual pleasure. It's available in 6 high schools that they know of, and they haven't even looked into Buffalo City schools, and I guarantee you these are in every single one of their schools. The next one, Fun Home. This one is kind of one of the ones you have to read. It's about this girl has this crazy relationship with her father, and it has all kinds of themes of sexual orientation, gender roles, suicide, emotional abuse, etc. I'm going to show you a couple images from that. Here's, and these images, by the way, it's blocked off in this image, but it is not blocked off in the books that the kids are looking at, of the man's erected penis. And the next picture shows a woman performing oral sex on another woman, with, of course, lesbian terrorist and all these crazy descriptions. Here's another one about a woman who went to college and became lesbian, and she was hit on, and you can see her laying there and with her shirt off. And you can see the bottom right-hand picture where they go zoom up of the woman orally pleasuring another woman. By the way, this is in the high schools, many of the high schools. Another book is called Push, and you can see the profanity count. Page 25 says, I've been knowing a man put his dick in you, gush white stuff in your booty, you could get pregnant. I'm 12 now. This is a 12. I'm knowing about that since I was 5 or 6. And by the way, I'm not going to buffer this for you because you need to feel the full weight of it. Okay? I always know about pussy and dick. I can't remember not knowing. No, I can't remember a time I did not know. And you can see page 32, Daddy put his pee-pee smelling thing in my mouth, my pussy, but never told. You see how obscene this stuff is? And it goes on. This is the book I told you about that I originally found, one of the most abhorrent, called Gender Queer. You can see the school districts in Erie County it's available in. You can see a couple of the images with a blowjob, with a very clear image of a blowjob, and it's not blocked off in the book. I'm not going to read all these right now because of time, but you can see the 2 homosexual men, and he talks about hip thrusting while thinking of my latest gay ship. And the bottom right-hand picture has a guy giving a hand job. So, we have to do something. And I knew I had to do something because telling the parents and they aren't doing anything, I don't know what is wrong with them, but I knew I had to do something because I guess I'm kind of similar to Mel. I don't want to be the one doing it. I don't even have any kids. You know what I mean? Like, how am I the one who has to go to the school district? And these parents aren't doing anything about it. So what I thought of, it was, I listened to Steve Deace a lot on The Blaze. If any of you don't listen to him, you got to start listening to him. He's fantastic. He's a Christian. He doesn't pull any punches. And he talked about how we need to leverage everything we have on them. So how can I leverage the church? So what I did is I went around to every church in Lancaster and it wrote a statement, which all of them signed on to except the Roman Catholic churches. Because they needed to get permission from their bishop, and they didn't ever do that. I'm not bashing them, just saying they didn't sign it. So I'm going to read you this statement that we sent to and I printed this out for me to read, so I didn't have to do this, but I forgot to bring it. So excuse me as I exit out of this and go to my statement so I can read it to you. This is the statement that 11 churches out of 13 in Lancaster all agreed to. And I went before the school board. The video is available on our YouTube channel. And I went before the school board and read this statement to them. So I'll read it to you now. Dear Lancaster Board of Education, as clergy in Lancaster, New York, we are deeply concerned about several books available for the youth in our town at the school libraries. These books are vile, completely inappropriate for minors, and should not be available on our school bookshelves. The books of this list provided all contain explicit sexual nudity, depictions of sexual organs in a state of arousal, and obscene references to sexual activities involving anal, oral, and vaginal intercourse, fingering, and analogous, I have no idea what that even is, or ejaculation, as well as other content that should not be available to minors without parental consent and guidance. For example, This Book is Gay by Juno Dawson says the following on page 156 to 160. And I was reading this in front of the school board and like a bunch of people in there, okay? Because they need to feel the weight of what they're allowing in their schools. The benefits are obvious to sex apps. Quick, easy, and uncomplicated sex. They're sold to us as social networking apps, but we all know that what they're really for. It's a bit like selling a dildo under the pretext that its sole use is a draft excluder. I don't have a problem with that aspect of it. If people want casual sex, then something like Grindr is a must. So they're promoting a sex app here. If you're that horny that you want to do a sex meet the trick. By the way, do you know what a trick is? Someone who pays for sex. Meet the trick in a public place for a drink first. That way you can assess if you fancy them in the flesh, or if they are a twitch-eyed freakazoid before letting them into your house. We stand in unity in the belief, that's the end of the quote, we stand in unity in the belief that it is not appropriate for minors to be reading tips on sex apps and sex meetups in our school libraries. Page 71 continues by giving tips on how to make another guy or girl you are engaged with sexually feel good, with instructions on how to pleasure, quote, the lips, the nipples, testicles, the bum, neck, ears, skin, and the penis, complete with cartoon illustrations of a nude woman and a man and a close-up of the vagina so you know right where to touch. I now quote page 173, quote, oral sex is popping another dude's peen in your mouth, or indeed popping yours in his. There's only one hard and fast rule when it comes to blowjobs. Watch the teeth. Lips and tongue? Yes. Teeth? No. As with hand jobs and breakfast eggs, all men like their blowjobs served in different ways. The term blowjob is massively misleading, as you won't actually be blowing on his penis. It's more about sucking. It's more about sliding your mouth up and down the shaft of his cock. The cartoon book Flamer with Mike Corrado depicts a group of boys in a cabin playing a game. One boy says, "We are all busting a load in this bottle. If you don't, you have to drink it." The next responds, "Give it to me, I'll show you." Another page has two boys in a shower with one on his knees in front of the other, seemingly just finished pleasuring the other boy. Another boy yells, "Hey, Mavaro, suck any good dicks lately?" The book Red, White, and Royal Blue has a sex novel feel to it, as the following homosexual encounter takes place. He feels Henry find the waistband of his pants, the button, the zipper, the elastic of his underwear. He opens his eyes to see Henry bringing his hand demurely up to his elegant royal mouth to spit on it. "Oh my fucking God," Alex says, and Henry grins and gets back to work. "I'm going to take your pants off now," Alex tells him. He moves his lips down Henry's chest and he feels under his mouth the beat of Henry's heart. His heart skips at the realization of what Henry intends. He kisses Henry's solar plexus, his stomach, the stretch of his skin above his waistband. Then later, after the sex act, the one boy asks for a kiss, which the other boy apparently resists. This leads to an obscene sentence. Alex rolls his eyes. "For fuck's sake, man, you just had my dick in your mouth. You can't kiss me goodnight." The books quoted above and the others on this list are not only grossly obscene, morally corrupt, and contrary to the Christian faith, but they are inappropriate for any minor to read without parental consent and guidance. We, the clergy of Lancaster, New York, hereby call on the Lancaster Board of Education, in the name of Jesus, to remove the following books as well as any like them from the shelves of Lancaster. Respectfully submitted, Reverend Stephen Mannion, Faith United Methodist Church. Reverend Dr. Kelly Nagus, Lancaster Presbyterian Church. Reverend Chris Hagler, Bowmansville United Methodist Church. Reverend Stephen Barrett, Lancaster Community Baptist Church. Bishop John Mack, Holy Mother of the Rosary Cathedral. Reverend Jonathan Bergio, Lovejoy Church. Deacon Joseph Pasquala, Holy Mother of the Rosary Cathedral. Father Andrei Kasayan, by the way, a Ukrainian Catholic priest signed it. St. Basil's Ukrainian Catholic Church. Reverend Richard Shear, First Bible Baptist Church, and Reverend Michael Rigglesworth, Centerpoint Community Church. The response from the district was basically, well, you only told us about 3 books, and you told us to remove 20, and here's our policy, and none of these books break our policy. So I'm going back on the 11th, and I have a little surprise for them. But I'm not going to share it just because it's being recorded and I want them to find out what my little surprise is. But the opposing position goes something like this. We had a lady stand up and say to the school board, "Thank you for standing up for LGBTQ students." See, this has nothing to do with sexual orientation. Anyways, right? Even if you are okay with homosexuality, which I am not, but even if you are, this has nothing to do with it. We don't have different movie ratings depending on sexual orientation, do we? Do we have PG-13S for straight and PG-13G for gay? Do we have RS and RG? No, it's insane. It's insane for them to say this has anything to do with that. It's inappropriate for minors, whether they are gay, straight, black, white, Chinese, blue eyes, brown eyes, whatever it is. This is inappropriate for minors. Another thing they say is, we don't ban books. Oh, yes, you do.
Oh, yeah.
You do. All schools have a committee that screens books in these schools, and if that committee lets this stuff in, they should all be fired, every single one of them. These people should start shopping for their millstones right now. And the third thing they say is it's not grooming. Well, these books are written by adults. And if I were to text a high school boy at the Lancaster High School and say, "I'm going to take your pants off now," he moves his lips up and down Henry's chest and feels under his mouth the beat of Henry's chest. Forget the context. I would be rightfully in big trouble, wouldn't I? Rightfully.
Yep.
Or what if an adult offers a lesson to a high school student on how to meet somebody online for sex? They would be prosecuted, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
It is grooming. May I speak frankly to those of you who are Christians right now?
Absolutely.
I'm not going to pull any punches right now. So Matthew 5:13-14, Jesus said this: "You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt has lost its taste, how shall its saltiness be restored? It is no longer good for anything but to be thrown out and trampled under people's feet. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden." Light and salt combats darkness and decay. In church, we have failed.
That's right.
Right.
Miserably. Dietrich Bonhoeffer said, "Silence in the face of evil is itself evil. God will not hold us guiltless. Not to speak is to speak. Not to act is to act." He wrote this, during Germany at this time. They were carting Jews in on trains, and the Christians, the supposed Christians, were in their churches, and they would sing louder so they wouldn't have to hear the people yelling. You see, it says in Hosea 6:6, "I desire obedience over sacrifice, not vain religion." But I don't want to rock the boat, some of them said. Or I don't want to offend anybody. It means nothing. It means absolutely nothing if you go to church, take communion, sing hymns, and do nothing about prevailing evil in our culture. Because the Lord desires obedience over sacrifice. If we're doing nothing as millions of babies are being killed and the innocence is being stolen from our children, you have a vain religion.
Yeah, that's right.
Hosea 6:6 again, "I desire obedience rather than sacrifice." You see, the spirit of the age is coming for your children and grandchildren. They are coming to assault the image of God and mankind, and they are coming to steal, kill, and destroy. So what will the church do? What will you do? Will you just keep singing hymns and doing potlucks? Church, it's time to wake up. And I mean really wake up. Snap out of it. In World War II, back to World War II, countries were being assaulted by Germany, right? Including our ally Britain. And the United States said, well, we want to remain neutral.
Yeah.
We want to be comfortable. We want to stay out of it, right? They were going through they wanted to stay out of it. and avoid being involved in it. Just let us continue our lives, right? Let me tell you something. In all of human history, there has never been neutrality in the face of evil. Most people, I get it. You want to go on with your comfortable life. You don't want to stir up the pot. You don't want to be inconvenienced or stand publicly for what is right, because it is uncomfortable. For those of you who have done it, you know. To choose comfort over standing against evil is the spirit of Baal. Don't be fooled. At some point, evil will cross the line and affect you personally.
Right.
So, don't wait until it's too late for you to act. So in World War II, as evil does, it kept on pushing, didn't it? America would be forced out of her comfort. And some of you remember December 7th, 1941. When many were getting ready for church, evil became personal. Japan was bombed at Pearl Harbor, killing 2,403, injuring 1,178. Guess what? At that point, America suddenly had to respond, didn't they?
Yes.
Church, don't wait. Don't wait for things to get so bad that you have to respond. And after attacking Pearl Harbor, Admiral Yamamoto, head of the attack fleet for Japan, obviously, with that name, said, quote, "I fear that all we have done is awaken a sleeping giant and fill him with a terrible resolve." Listen, the Church of Jesus Christ is the superior force.
That's right. That's a fact.
The Church of Jesus Christ is a sleeping giant that needs to wake up. Jesus said something really cool. He said that I will make on this rock I'll build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against her. Now, gates are what? Defensive. We are to be assaulting hell, not standing back waiting for them to come at us. We are to be assaulting them. We need to assault the gates of hell. So let me ask you a question. We all want to see revival, don't we? If you're a Christian, we pray for revival. We pray for a movement of the Holy Spirit. What if He's waiting for us?
He probably is.
It's time to act and be the church. That's the times we're living in. You are living in unprecedented times in American and church history. I really believe that. Every pastor I know believes that. Don't you, Mel? We're living unprecedented times, yep. And this little group, even this little group, you guys can radically change this community if you are fearless. So live not by lies. Refuse to play along with the lies. I know you all probably already don't do that. You probably already don't go along with the lies, or otherwise you wouldn't be here. But don't just do that. Live not by fear. What does the Bible say? That fear is not from God. He gave us a spirit of boldness, strength, power. Live not by fear and stand up to evil. What I'm talking about is peaceable but aggressive action. Peaceable but aggressive action. Here's a big one, okay? Listen to me carefully. If your pastor or priest won't speak bold truths, walk out. This is not a day to be staying in wishy-washy Christianity. You need to get out of your church, go to Mel's church. If you're Roman Catholic, find a Catholic church that has a priest that's standing on that's boldly speaking against this stuff. If he will not speak against abortion boldly, to hell with anybody who's offended. If he will not speak against abortion boldly, against this obscenity, against this transgender insanity, then you need to get out and walk out of that church and go and support a pastor like Mel, who is standing. Because he needs your encouragement. Trust me, I know. Not because he told me, because I get it. I know what it's like being someone like him. You know what I mean? Vote with your feet. It's time to go to where people are, to go where the Spirit is working. I mentioned Steve Dace before. I'm going to read you a quote he said. "I promise you, Just Leave Me Alone loses in every history book ever. Don't Rock the Boat loses in every history book ever. Don't Use My Name, I Can't Lose My Job loses in every history book ever. I Didn't Think It Was My Place loses in every history book ever. Ephesians 5:11. Take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness. Okay, it's great if you're not taking part in it, right? You're like, well, I'm not doing any of that stuff. But expose it, he says. Take no part in it, but instead expose them. Oh man, they don't like that. They will kick, scream. Pastors who speak against this stuff, I've had people walk out of sermons.
Good riddance.
Yep. And I try reaching out. They never want to talk after. Go to all of you, every single one of you, listen to me, every single one of you should be at your school board.
Yeah, should be.
All of you need to go and look in your schools. I'm sure they have an online card catalog. Maybe they don't. Maybe they're very antiquated. Get there and look. You can write them and say, well, I have the list of all of them that have been seen. And I can send it to Mel, and you can write them and say, are any of these books in our schools? And they have to tell you. They should. We have to stand against this stuff and protect our kids, because we all know they're so impressionable. Kids mimic. They imitate. Anybody have any questions? Start with the schools, where kids can just go in on their own. Little Johnny can wander in there and just open his book and start reading it. And they'll say stuff like, well, we don't make the kids look at it. That's what they said to me in the letter they sent to me. Well, we don't make kids have unprotected sex. We don't make kids take drugs, right? But they choose it. They're kids. They're gonna be curious about it. My dad didn't make me look at the Sears catalog when I was 15 either. You know what I mean? Like they're gonna be curious, and they're gonna want to see what's in that book.
Would you tell us a little bit about the Black Robed Regiment and how extensive it is, how you're doing throughout the United States? And is the South picking up Black Robed Regiment more than other parts of the country?
What was the last part? Is what picking up?
The South.
The South? Yeah. The South's way. It's the Bible Belt, and I hate to say this, but it's easier to be in the Black Robed Regiment in the South. There's less opposition. But yes. So the Black Robed Regiment is growing because I participate in the monthly meetings with the America's Black Robed Regiment, and there's new state heads. The goal of America's Black Robed Regiment is to have a chapter, or sometimes they're called companies, in every political jurisdiction in the United States. So my friend John Diamond is over here. He's from the John Burke Society. He's the regional head. If any of you want to talk to him after about that, do that. But John's thinking about starting the Black Robed Regiment chapter in Erie, Pennsylvania, not Erie County, Erie, PA. So they're trying to always plant new seeds. They're trying to plant new seeds everywhere. So Mel's in your area, and so it is growing. It is growing in influence, but only because we're, I think, becoming more bold to stand out. So people find out about it when you stand for truth, and they don't like you. Antifa did a background check on me and posted online my picture of my house, my address, a background check. But of course no one shut up my house. But that's the kind of stuff that they do. They try to silence you. My tactic is when they try to silence me, I double down. I step it up a level, and then they usually back off.
2 minutes.
2 minutes counting. Yes.
It seems to me you've got a parent problem. There's a lot more parents than there are
Yeah,
employees.
that's the main thing. I am dumbfounded how parents, I'll send this stuff to some parents, including my neighbors, and they're like, yeah, that stuff's terrible. And they don't show up. Because their logic is, well, my kids aren't looking at it. Again, if your kids are looking at it, they're not going to tell you because they'll know you're going to be upset, right? Kids are not dumb.
It's available to
Yeah, and okay, let's say that's true. You really only care about your kids? What about the rest of them? That's extraordinarily selfish. Thank you.